On my immediate right, I'm joined by Mwito Mureithi, who is a political strategist as well as a friend of the mountain. Asante sana Mwito for your time this morning. Karibu.
Thanks for having me.
And next to him is Matthew Wasonga, who's a political commentator. Asante as well, Matthew, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Now, gentlemen, if you look at just what has been happening since the former deputy president returned from the United States, basically has been to align his party, Democracy for Citizens Party, ahead of the by-elections we know are set to be conducted in November. We have one senatorial seat which will have a by-election, 6 constituencies across the country, as well as 17 wards, that is members of the county assemblies, MCAs, will be voted for, as well as in various parts of the country. So this is a huge litmus test. Mwito, I'd love to get your point of view. Do you feel this is a united opposition? Have they worked enough together? Have they, critiqued enough as a team? Are you seeing more of them? Are you feeling them in the political atmosphere?
Thank you. That's a good question. The united opposition front is very united. Owed to the fact that this far, everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
I don't know how far we would like to push it to say or declare that they are in the game. You can only be in the game if you cause sleepless nights, if you cause my mind to keep jogging every other time. And I'm not talking about an individual, I'm talking about the proponents of the other side. But those who are on the opposition side have been doing their work very well, very effectively. And one effective way is to ensure that you criticize constructively.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism is when you are disclosing issues that concern the people of the Republic of Kenya, issues that will not taint or dent the image of the nation,
right,
both locally and internationally, issues that will not destroy our economy. So when they speak about corruption, and eventually corruption becomes real, then that tells you many things. If I take you back even to, if I take you back to what the political repercussions that the country had to suffer, is like when you hear the opposition talk about our involvement in the Sudan war, our involvement in the DRC conflict, and many others that we can be able to talk about, then it tells you many things, because politically it dents our image of a haven of peace. That's what Kenya has been. But today is not a haven of peace. It is a militant, combatant. It is a country that supports where it's not supposed to, offer its support. Right. Knowing that we are even at the leadership of the regional organization, IGAD, even at that time, we were still finding ourselves in those wrong places. Secondly, when we make wrong economic decisions that would hurt our economy, when we are breaking friendships left and right, we are in the US today. We play the US game and make deals, good deals. Go to Russia, make good deals, insult the US deal or disqualify the US deal. Go to China, talk against the same country when you know that they are having their own economic wars. When we entangle ourselves in such things, economically, we begin to lose the trust in whoever would like to trust us. So what I'm trying to say is that economically we get the effect ends up in the Kenyan themselves, because you have to pay more to sustain whatever development that is there. You've heard that we had reached a point where we cannot be even loaned by IMF and World Bank. Today they're dictating terms. Why? Because we have no power to bargain. Now, those are the kind of things I'm trying to say that we need to look at them from that scope. Secondly, the extravagance in the government has been criticized very well until the other day. You the media was not even, was restless to realize that we can take a flight to Ethiopia, a flight that would cost us in a public means, our pride of Africa, Kenya Airways, and maybe spend like 2 million shillings for the whole entourage, but end up spending 12 million shillings, you know. That kind of luxury, when somebody else is sleeping hungry in Kenya, don't think that's a kiss and a hug.
Okay.
It's actually annoying and irritating the Kenyans. Now, that's the opposition. The opposition is not the few parties that you see, party leadership. It is the members that front them that should actually worry the government. Rigathi Gachagua is fronted by the whole Mount Kenya vote, 6 million.
And we'll come to that.
We'll get to that one. Well, I'm only explaining what the opposition is. The opposition is not Rigathi Gachagua. It is 6 million. The opposition is not Kalonzo Musyoka. Is around or close to 2 million. The opposition is not Natembeya. It is the 3 million plus that would be behind him. Or Eugene Wamalwa, 2 million or 1 million. You know, what you're trying to say, this is what we call the opposition. They should be worried about the Kenyan themselves. Otherwise, playing the headlines of the news mean nothing. The ground has a ground to write their headlines. They write it on the soil.
All right. Wasonga,
they should read from the ground.
I'll come to you. As much as Muito says the opposition are the Kenyan people, for instance, I'll take an example out from the Gen Zs. The leaderless, partyless, tribeless mantra seems to have done more damage than good for that particular movement, because there was no particular person that we would have addressed or questioned or wanted to come out and critique the government. But there's a reason why you've got these political parties standing together. The Democracy for Citizens Party, Wiper Patriotic Front, you've got the PLP Party for Martha Karua, you've got the Democratic Action Party of Kenya for Eugene Wamalwa, you've got the DP Party for Justin Muturi. And so to have these leaders as the face of the opposition sort of puts credibility on the strength of the opposition. Wouldn't you agree?
No, if you look at these leaders that they are calling themselves the so-called United Opposition Leaders, they don't mean well for this nation. I will say that they are so-called united because these are some kind of individuals that are just trying to fight for their own selfish interest and political relevancy. If these people were really trying to have and to fight for the needs of Kenyans, then at least they could be there. We could have seen something talking, like, as you said, Cynthia. When the Gen Zs come out on June 25th in 2024, they had an agenda. They said that we are not being led by a political group. We don't belong to a certain tribe or a certain political party. Whatever we are championing is for the good governance of this country. By that time, whatever everybody was against was the finance bill. It didn't matter whichever political side you were, but they were united for a cause. Today, we are a group calling themselves the opposition leaders, who is trying to unite themselves to serve positions among themselves. These people, they speak double standard. These are the kind of individuals that today they will say one thing. When they wake up tomorrow, they will speak a very different thing. Okay? At one time, they will talk about people. The next day, they will be fighting about positions among themselves. Okay? Today, whatever they are fighting for, their main agenda on the table is not how we are going to solve the problem Kenyans are facing. In fact, today as we speak, the so-called united opposition, whatever they are fighting for, their main unity is not anchored on giving Kenyan solutions, but their main unity is anchored on sending President William Ruto home. Okay? I fail to understand sometimes, maybe I will understand later, how sending Ruto home will help us solve this thing. What Kenyans need now, Cynthia, is that we need solution. If we talk about one of the key things that has been a question of so many Kenyans, when we talk about corruption and misuse of public funds within the government, something that my brother Muredi says, these guys cannot even tell us and says that this is the alternative we are offering. Because now we are dealing with a generation, not the 1960s generation that will just go by the wave. We are dealing with a generation that is so much learned, that know what they want. So the so-called united opposition is not giving any alternative.
So is that the main, your main sort of conflict, that they're not giving out an alternative agenda?
So when I look at it, they're just a group of selfish individuals that has come together and trying to form some kind and maintain some kind of political relevance. The real opposition that was coming in, when the agencies come out, there was agenda, Cynthia. Let's not lie to ourselves. There were agenda. They said this is what we are pushing for. If today you ask the Rigathi Gachagua and team, what are you pushing for the interest and the benefit of the people of Kenya? They will not tell you. When you ask them, what is your agenda for this nation? We talk about unemployment. What are you going to do to ensure that our youths are employed? We talk about extrajudicial killing. What are we going to do to ensure that every right of every individual, is respected? They will tell you, our main agenda for today is Ruto must go. Now, how is Ruto going to help us solve the situation? The same thing Rigathi Gachagua and his team is telling us now were the exact word President William Ruto was telling us against the Uhuru regime. Okay? The only problem is that whoever is saying it now is different from the one who was saying it then. But if you look at it, and I know my brother here will want to say something, but I know, he and I know that whatever I'm saying is true. Whatever President Rigathi Gachagua is doing now to the Kenya Kwanza government was the exact thing President William Ruto was telling us. Did we find any solution? No, we didn't. We are still in the same mess. So I think it is time for us Kenyans to wake up and see the lies where it is from these leaders and the conmanship that come with them. So that whenever we are going out to solve a problem, we go for the real deal. We don't lie, someone don't lie and parade themselves that they have the interest of the people. Today they say it is good. I remember one day Rigathi Gachagua saying that if you go to if you are demonstrating and you go to the street and the police has got the gun, what did you expect? The same word Rigathi Gachagua used in 2023 when there was demos was the same words CS Interior Kipchumba Murkomen used last time. So these are the same people who are just trying to find political relevance. That is why I said earlier, and I maintain my stand that I don't believe with either of these things, because when I look at them, they're just the same monkey, different forest.
Mwito, I know you're itching to respond, but to Wesonga's point, have you had this alternative agenda from the opposition?
First of all, I also wish to request that you grant me the amount of time he has spent asking one question. No, asking one question. Here's my question. How United Opposition Front can help them with ideas on how to run a government? Because why do you need the ideas?
No, we don't need ideas.
Be patient. It's my question. You'll respond to it. All I'm asking is, why are they so bothered with what we can do? Yet, what is being criticized is how they are not able to do it. I'll give you an example. Take an example of Chief Shah versus NHIF.
Right.
Let's go to the manifesto we sold. They never participated in selling the manifesto, which they claim to be the best people to implement the ODM or the opposition, the then opposition. They never sold the manifesto. They never believed in it. In fact, they trashed it. We're the ones who know the contents of the manifesto. We said we can inject 800 million or slightly above 800 million shillings, not billion, million shillings, and have NHIF accommodate everything that Chief Shah was supposed to do with 104 billion. That's corruption of the highest order. But who is defending that corruption? ODM via Baba.
Through the broad-based government?
No, Baba takes them there, he defends it, he doesn't understand it, he doesn't understand the pain Kenyans are suffering when they have to pay a difference of 103 billion to some pocket. Then you come and consider the Adani deal that was to come in the Shah. Let's not forget so quickly. Adani deal was to partner with Apeiro. Apeiro was connected to the First Family. I'm not the one, is what was in public domain. And the First Family was, of course, if they become shareholders in the deal for Chief Shah, which was to be brought in. Convergence, the other company, which was also a shareholder, had the current minister, CS Duale, mentioned that he's part of the directors. We had Safaricom, How would you beat Safaricom without understanding that the who is who in this country, the president, because of the former president, because of their influence in Safaricom, and Fuliza, it's owned by a family. So what we're trying to say is their influence means they would not also complain about anything that would be done if 103 billion extra would be spent on Kenyans to pay for a failing system. It's supposed to be successful. If 103 billion has been expended, was supposed to have gotten the best of the best from the world to advise us, if not from locally. So SHA would be, even transiting from from NHIF to SHIF, paying the people who the government is indebted to via NHIF, they never paid them. What we're trying to say is, this money is now managed by one of the directors of a partner in that Adani deal, Adan Duale, as the CS, So when he and others and his ilks stand to defend this kind of a thing, I think Kenyans are getting angrier than before when they remember that the same. Hold your horses.
But I think we are misleading our viewers.
No, we don't need to guide you. She'll get back to you. What I'm trying to say is,
but at least don't mislead our viewers.
Please depend on your own agenda of the broad base. We are talking about the people who are in the UDA Kenya Kwanza who had this whole thing with us. When we were selling this during the campaigns, that was the agenda, and Kenyans loved it. That's why the majority went for the KK. You understand? The subsidies in agriculture, we don't criticize everything. Have you heard us talk about fertilizer? We're not talking about fertilizer because it's been subsidized. But you don't hoodwink us with one thing, and then the bigger thing is the one we're losing. But again, even in the fertilizer saga, it was a freebie from the Russians. But here comes, it's sold 2,500 shillings. But it was a free thing. So what I'm trying to say is, when corruption is mentioned, and I have to come to Parliament, the parliamentarians the other day were shouting up against each other. Members of the same team. Ulitulipa, tukakula, tukatoa, tukakufanyia kazi, all these things. You paid us. We did your work. We did the dirty work for you. They called it dirty work. Why are they calling it dirty work? Yet they are talking about legal issues that have injured and hurt a relationship in the whole UDA. It actually caused the crack because of the dirty politics. Now, even much as the matter is in court, corruption in Parliament and the executive, they had a marriage that was sour. They have a marriage that is sour right now. They had a marriage that was so sweet then, but today it's sour because one, there's been this ploy to split executive to make executive independent of parliamentarians because they think they already own parliament. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that when it reaches that point, it tells you of the level of corruption. And anytime we talk about corruption, can you use the correct English word, theft? Because when you talk about theft, you're talking about thieves. So if parliamentarians stole from Kenyans for something they have been trying to clean up, make it look that it was real, it was clean, it was good, kicking out a whole voting block. Because it's not Rigathi Gachagua they impeached. Rigathi Gachagua did not elect himself. When Rigathi Gachagua was campaigning for William Ruto, we were there demanding Rigiji must speak or Rigathi Gachagua must address us. What does that mean? It means there is somebody who can't go without addressing us. We love him. So we fronted him as people from the mountain region, okay? Because in Kenya, no matter how much we don't like it, it's regional.
But how does the opposition now deal with the corruption issue?
Now,
what is the
way the opposition would deal with corruption issues, they know too well. They have exposed to you. I've given you an example. If NHIF, you're being told, if you would just quit spending the balance that you have from the 104 billion, please, NHIF structures are still there. Why don't you revive NHIF and spend, even if it's 5 billion, and let Kenyans experience health service to the perfect level. Now, that is what we're saying.
Yeah.
What is it they want us to tell them other than implementing that one small thing? It's not you. It's not you. It's not you. You're in the opposition. The government now, the government, the remainder of KK, which is UDA, if they are willing to appease the people, then they would do that. Okay. Secondly, the help thing. Students are, the Gen Zs are angry. Because, one, you cannot say, when I was being sponsored by my uncle and I went to Brookside, my father is rich. Yet he picked me from the dust down there where we were with my family. My family could not afford me a meal, but I was taken by my uncle to Brook House or Riara. I'm not promoting them, I'm only saying a school like that where maybe somebody was paying 300,000. Then I qualified to go to the university and look at where I was schooling and say, okay, this guy, I think, judging from the history, this person is supposed to get 10%.
Okay.
That's the stupidity of the highest order.
All right.
No, I'm using that word like this. I'm not insulting. It's an English word. When you choose not to see things correctly when you know, that is acting foolish. Because these learned, educated people, they know too well. If you don't get it from the horses, they're the ones who give us all these phrases. If you don't get it from the horse's mouth, then you don't have the real picture.
All right.
If they visit, they can plan then, say, for you to qualify for SHA, whatever, for help. They should travel to the village, see where the person comes from, be addressed by the parent, then they would know, or the guardian, then they would know the status of the student. But you don't guess.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right,
so we need to advise you that it's time you get to the bottom line. Let's start from the surface. And secondly, opposition is not your
political advice. My time.
Yes, thank you.
I love Wasonga.
Yes.
Wasonga, the biggest headache that could be for pastors that align with the opposition is the fact that at this particular point in 2025, there's still no particular candidate who has been fronted that would challenge President William Ruto come 2027, despite the fact that for government, we already know it is President William Ruto going for the two-term, but for the opposition, there's no specific candidate because we've got critical leaders. You've got Gachagua in the mix, you've got Kalonzo Musyoka in the mix, you've got Martha Karua in the mix, you've got Eugene Wamalwa, George Natembe in the mix. Should that be a worrying factor for the opposition that there's no specific person that is going to go head to head with President William Ruto as of now?
No, that should be a worrying factor because if you look at all those leaders you've mentioned, they are both party leaders of their different parties and they've all declared interest. What they will ought to do is that who will present himself better to Kenyans. And what the major problem I'm having, and my brother Ida Amuridi have confirmed that the united opposition does not have any solutions. In fact, they don't even have any idea how to solve the problem we are facing. Instead, they will keep up reminding us that, we have a problem. But where the solution is coming from, we don't know. Okay? On who will be the flag bearer, that one is up to them, for them to decide. But to me, I don't think that is a big deal, because even from the time during the NASA and the court, they will always try to have this mind of announcing their flag bearer later. Maybe next year, around next year, August, they will now come, 2026. Okay. Towards election, now they will come and tell us they are flag bearer, but that is not a solution. What I will have Kenyans and what I will urge Kenyans is that if we talk about corruption, that my brother and I, we agree that corruption is the biggest problem we are facing as a country. What I will be interested to know is that whoever we are going to vote in as the president, after President William Ruto, what are you going to do to fight corruption? When are these individuals that have declared interest to replace President William Ruto as the president, tell us that if given an opportunity, this is what I'm going to do to ensure that corruption is dealt with in this country. If you look at what is happening in Nepal today, Cynthia, one of the major challenges that those young men and the Gen Zs of that country come out, and today there is havoc in that country. Their main hunger, one of it was corruption. So that can tell you how far, when we allow corruption to keep eating us, how far we can go as a country. Yeah. These people have been pushed to the wall. These young gentlemen and ladies have said enough is enough. Even if we are going to burn out this country, so be it, but we have to take our country back. That is not what I want for my country, Kenya, because I'm a patriotic Kenyan. And that's why I'm saying whoever is going to take over from President William Ruto should give us more practical things, rather than saying, okay, when President William Ruto and then Rigathi Gachagua were campaigning, they said that they will allow every independent commissions to work independently without any political interference. Today, as we can see, you can barely understand which part of government is not executive. Okay? Today, as we speak, it's like parliament is another arm of part of the executive. It's like the parliaments get orders from State House. Okay? Today, we don't know whether the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is working as an independent body or is just working to punish some political figures. Why is it that every time someone maybe try to go against the government or is not in line with the current regime, then these corruption cases now will come to the limelight? Why can these independent bodies work independently and do their work that have been given to them by Kenyans? Okay. Which assuredly are these leaders going to tell us that when we give you an opportunity to lead us, then you are going to allow independent bodies to work independently? Stop telling us we have a problem already. Already we know. Okay, when you tell us that SHA has a problem, we know. What we need now as a country is the solution, because whatever is happening to Kenya now was the exact thing that was happening in Nepal. Their leaders will keep telling them, we have a problem, we are going to solve this. But none of them was courageous enough and say that now this is what we are going to do to end this. This is what we are going to do to solve this. That is what we are asking from as patriotic Kenyans. But not every now and then, wherever you have a microphone or wherever you see some 50 people gathered, the first thing that comes into your mind is one term Ruto must go. Singing one term from January to December will not help us. Okay? Today we have so many youths that graduate every year. Let me give you an example. How many thousands of youths graduate from our learning institutions every year? How then do we create job opportunity to accommodate those who have been graduating? Today as we speak, okay, the Kenya Kwanza government are spending billions, millions of shillings in the name of youth empowerment. How many companies and factories have been built to create job opportunities for the youth? Okay? If in the next 6 months, if we can now do an audit and say that this is the amount that have been spent in this so-called empowerment, now let us do the audit and see how much this has impacted in the life of citizens. We will be disappointed. Okay? But now the so-called united opposition, what they will come and tell us, they don't know, they don't even know what they want. Whatever they are interested in is just now let us remain in power. We become politicians, we remain relevant, we control some regions, as my brother says. Rigathi Gachagua is fighting to become the Mount Kenya kingpin. That is the only thing in his mind. That now, if you want to come to Mount Kenya, then you have to come through me. Okay, it is high time that we are running around even from that regional kingpinship, because for a long time it's not helping us. Okay, why is it that wherever Raila do something, then Raila should not be seen like he carried the entire Luo nation in his own back? No. Okay, what we want is something that will impact the life of every single Kenyan. And that is where I differ with the united opposition. He says that today as we speak, the same Rigathi Gachagua, who is against this government, is still fighting for his impeachment. Okay? When all these things were happening, and you know, when Muriithi and his friends are talking, someone might think that Rigathi Gachagua has never been in government. In fact, you might even think that this guy was not even part of this mess. They are forgetting that ever since this gentleman was impeached, it's not even up to 1 year. Okay? Out of the 3 years that President William Ruto has served, 2 years they served with this gentleman called Rigathi Gachagua. Okay? So during his time as the deputy president, what did he do to help us? Now he can come and say, this is what I was doing as the deputy president in trying to fight this thing. And now, because I was fighting this, I was impeached because this is what I was fighting for. And now that I'm being impeached, now I'm saying, but when they were in that table eating together, they were so quiet and everything was going on well. What this united opposition, the hunger within the united opposition is that they are not part, you know, it is just like corruption is bad when I'm not eating. But the moment I also be part of that corrupt, then it is good. That is the exact thing that is happening. That's why you realize the United Opposition cannot tell us what they are going to do to fight corruption. Because now they are not part of the corrupt government.
Don't mislead us with many things, because I am trying to capture which question you are asked, because I'm not saying...
Because I've answered it.
Allow us to move this conversation forward.
Yes, can you?
And I'll give you an opportunity, Muito, to respond to that. But allow us to move this conversation forward, because if I go back to the year 2021, a few months just before the 2022 elections, we had the Kiambaa by-elections, which were very critical to set the stage of just how popular UDA party was at that particular point, going against Jubilee Party. And coincidentally, we have by-elections coming up in November. And I'd love us to listen in to Rigathi Gachagua, because he withdrew the DCP party candidate from the Mbeere North by-elections to allow a candidate from the Democracy Party, DP, of Justin Muturi to stand. And we'd love to just take stock of just how critical these by-elections will be to gauge the #1 popularity of this party and whether the people can align themselves with the DCP party. But let's listen in to Rigathi Gachagua first.
Spirit of collaboration and fairness under the United Opposition and our resolve to unity ahead of the 2027 general elections, leading to the identification of one presidential candidate to face William Ruto. We have agreed that DCP will support the Democratic Party in Mbeere North constituency, acknowledging that the seat was previously held by the Democratic Party and should rightfully be retained for the party's candidate to complete a full term. And hence DCP has agreed to give support to the Democratic Party candidate and start down our candidate at DCP.
All right, Muito, this withdrawal of the DCP party candidate from the Mbeere North by-elections, Mbeere North is in Embu County. Embu County is within the Mount Kenya region, a region which, you know, will be, I'd say, quite a game changer come 2027. Is this just about uniting behind a particular candidate of the United Opposition, or was this a tactical withdrawal?
As you rightly put it, it's a tactical withdrawal. The former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, is a selfless guy. In the way he has presented himself and the way we have seen him. Those of us who are keen to understand the character. And Rigathi Gachagua has presented himself as a person who, even when it comes to the discussion of who becomes the flag bearer of the opposition, his heart is not bound to the position. But he's bugging his hopes on one thing, the decision by the supporters of the United Opposition Front. And the only way to do that is to continue vigorously and rigorously campaigning to consolidate a support base, so that when it comes to the discussion on the table, it's about what you're presenting on the table. Because this is politics, is a game of interest. So I cannot work so hard to furnish your interests when I have my own interest, and I'm talking my own interest as Mount Kenya, because he's representing the interests of people. People were saying, actually, if you take that direction of seeing our things, our issues from that aspect, then we can support you. But if you take a different aspect, then we will not be with you. That's the ground. Ground in Ukambani, ground in Nyanza, ground in Western, ground in Northeastern area, ground in coastal area, ground in Nairobi. That's what the ground is saying. When the opposition, the confused leadership of the broad-based keep asking, what are you people thinking? You see, it's like you have been told, we have twins in the womb. Stop discussing which twin brother or sister is going to step out first. You're supposed to plan for the twins after they're out. That's what the opposition is supposed to wait for. Wait for next year, December, henceforth, from that time, ask us what we are thinking. You get the point? Otherwise, this time round, we won't tell you, we won't help you to run a government. We cannot help you to run a government while outside. Please, if you are short of ideas, step out. So you keep asking, oh, why is Ruto the agenda? When, and I'm not saying Ruto is sick, I'm saying when the top leadership is sick, it means everybody else is going to suffer. Everything begins from the head. We have a proverb in Mount Kenya that says, you know, livestock, it has a certain leading bull or cow or a sheep. It has one that leads their type. And if that one is sick, they never get to the greener pastures somewhere there. So they will end up where he gets tired of faints. Now, this is what is happening to the broad-based government. It has fainted. You get the point? And everybody else is now settled at that point.
Yeah.
It is time they should step aside and allow a new leader to come in. Wacha tu kusema wewe ni kiongozi unatuongoza, bully inaongoza ama sheep inaongoza na umelala. We need the greener pastures. And we have the ideas to take us to greener pastures. And we have given them hints. We have told them, do away with the help thing. Increase the funding to help, so that if they were able to, they were allowed to borrow 50,000 shillings, now they can borrow 100 or 200,000 shillings, which will enable the students to learn by himself all the way and pay up the money. And ensure that the interest rate is as low and affordable to that student after that student gets employed, because he will start with a basic salary. Now, coming back now to the United Front, why do they want us to tell them who they are? So that they can be hit by a truck? No, even for you to respond. Even for you to respond. I'm talking about what happens. This kind of politics. Okay. This kind of politics. Yeah. Politics. If you happen to allow me, if you happen to become famous, and I'll give a reference. Even Moi Kibaki, when he was heading to presidential, he was not hit because there was some tussle over some land deal somewhere. No, business deal. No, it's about politics. You get the point? But God said, no, it's not your time to go. It's your time to rule from the wheelchair. What I'm trying to say, can we not forget these kind of things? When the Mount Kenya Mafia thought that it's time, Jomo Kenyatta is inherited by their very own Dr. Njoroge Mungai. I'm mentioning because it's in history. He's the one we prefer. So it doesn't go to beyond the Chania River. No, wait, we're talking about leadership. Why do they want us to expose him? And then
we were talking about by election.
Wait, my brother, this is Kenya politics I'm discussing. I'm discussing Kenya politics. Don't worry because we mentioned that in names. These are historical names. Then we mentioned Mount Kenya Mafia was not for Moi. They said, badala Kibaki akalia, let's have Moi sit there, we shall topple him. It actually flopped in 1982. You get the point? Of course, Baba was there. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it flopped in 1982. You get the point? This is the Kenyan politics. What I'm trying to say is, when it comes to issues of leadership, sometimes they're very dicey. You don't go exposing your leader at the moment. There are various things that can happen. Compromise. That is better. I know he cannot complain about that. There are many other things. We've seen candidates vanishing soon after they declare the candidature. Even in smaller positions, parliamentary, gubernatorial, and somebody just disappears or somebody is eliminated. These things happen. So what you're trying to say is, it's another option. Many others, many other things that can happen to such a person. But that's not the reason why. The reason why they are quiet at the moment is because Kalonzo Musyoka is consolidating his support base the far that he can reach beyond Ukambani. Rigathi Gachagua is consolidating his support base beyond Mount Kenya and ensure that he has Mount Kenya, as much as Kalonzo ensures he has Ukambani, as much as Natembeya ensures he has Western Kenya, as much as Eugene Wamalwa ensures he has Western Kenya, as much as any other person from any other region ensures that they have support from the ground. So all these candidates will one day sit down and say, this is where we are at. These are our projections. This is what we can score in the national in the national elections when they come up. Now, when they sit down, that is around December. Right now, it's just consolidating votes. Let them not be in a hurry to know who we are going to front. But it's up to them to judge. And allow me, it's up to them to judge from what they see. Rigathi Gachagua is also ahead of the pack. with his support base. That's why they have to strategize using other people to break the support, the support base of Rigathi Gachagua, which is from Rima. Everybody else has a support base from home. But you see, when it comes to the politicking of the broad-based side, they will criticize Rigathi Gachagua as a tribal, but they don't criticize George Natembeya as tribal, and he's in the camp. They don't criticize Eugene Wamalwa as tribal. They don't criticize Kalonzo Musyoka as tribal. When he say Akamba on the tuwe pamoja, he says that's not tribal. When Rigathi Gachagua speaks, they get scared. Why? Because they see 6 million. 4 million have left, another 1 million that went to Baba has left, and another 1 million, 2 million is going to register as voters since 2022. Right. This means the base is so broad. Let me explain myself. I'll give you a chance. Now, when you look at 8 million votes or 10, and you are able to score 7 million with the 4 million votes your side, now they are not there. You must get scared. That's why Rigathi Gachagua has to be the topic.
Okay.
Second, I think for the by-election, on the withdrawal,
the issue of the by-election, not the strategy that is being applied. I have just explained to you.
In a minute.
Yes.
Give us longer time.
He has taken so much time.
In a minute.
I will be precise. In 1 minute. Withdrawal from Embu, it means a supporter of the opposition or a member of the opposition is vying. So supporting that other member of the opposition, why is it a problem? Oh, you didn't bring DCP candidate. Why do you want us there? Why do you want us in Kalonzo Musyoka staff? We are working to build one another, and that's the wisest thing Rigathi Gachagua has done. He is supporting his very own teammates. Let's make your base strong. Why should he go and fight Kalonzo Musyoka or the Westerners? He fights them by introducing a candidate. That's why he had to tactfully withdraw.
Okay.
So this, if they can understand and conceive this, then they will know the danger ahead of them come 2027, because the ground is shifting.
All right, Muito, your minute is up. Now,
Thank you.
Wasonga, what would it mean for a party under the United Opposition? Yes. As Muito has rightfully put, you've got regions, right? You've got DAPK, which is stronger in Western Kenya. You've got Wiper Party, which is stronger in Eastern. You've got the DCP, which arguably could be stronger in the Mount Kenya region. But it's a question of what would it mean for any of this party under the United Opposition to lose to UDA party in the upcoming by-elections, whether it's in the senatorial seat or the 6 constituencies or the 17 wards by-elections across the country?
The stronger that Muriithi is trying to make people believe in is just assumption. Talk of DAPK. DAPK is not even strong in the entire Western Kenya. Talk of the Kakamega, Busia. I can say DAPK may be strong in Bungoma. Apart from maybe even one constituency within Bungoma.
Not even Trans Nzoia, where they...
Not even Trans Nzoia, because even in Trans Nzoia they have problems. So that is not even a party. In fact, DAPK is not even a national party.
At least we acknowledge they're strong.
Okay? Look at DAPK. DAPK is not even among the national party. That's some village parties. Look at the leadership of DAPK. Okay? They don't even subscribe. If you look at to the Western, specifically the Mulembe Nation, DAPK is a party that belongs to one sub-tribe of the Mulembe Nation. Okay, so it's just a village party, so it's not a party that we can talk of. Now, talk of regional. I don't know which regional Embu is and who is strong in Embu, because Embu is part of, the last time I checked, Embu was part of Mount Kenya region. And I don't know why Rigathi Gachagua will pull out from Embu, knowing very well that is trying to assume to be the king of Mount Kenya, and again, he will not want to face the opposition, the UDA candidate, in the same region that he claimed to be so strong in. What I will say is that what Rigathi Gachagua did to me, I will say that from a political perspective, is a technical retreat. Coming from a gentleman who has always positioned himself like the top guy within the United Opposition, I hear him one day saying that he's the most qualified among others to be the flag bearer to face President William Ruto. Coming from that one, just someone who have positioned himself like he is the leader of the United Opposition and the only person that has the voice. the only thing that he feared embarrassment as a poll. I don't see where DCP will win in Mbeere North in Embu against a UDA candidate and a Jubilee candidate. Remember, Jubilee is part of the United Opposition, okay? And they are fielding candidate in Embu, in Mbeere North constituency, okay? You know that despite the fact they will argue, according to Rigathi Gachagua, that the immediate former member of parliament was elected on a DP ticket. I don't dispute that. And by then they are saying that now it is only good to give back to the DP, their rightful position. But today the ground has also stated that, like he said, the guy who was elected on a DP ticket did not lose his parliamentary seat by the voters. No, he was just being promoted from a member of parliament to a CS. Today, as we speak, where does this allegiance lies to? Is he still loyal to the DP party? He has saved his loyalty. The guy is now loyal to the president and to the UDA party. And maybe even if he was to vie in 2027, he might vie on a UDA ticket. So this guy knows very well that the immediate former member of parliament, C.S. Ruku, has got a lot of influence within the very north. That because he was not even voted out. Okay, he controlled just a good number of people. He has influence in that crowd. And when he will now come back and throw his weight behind the UDA candidate, then DCP will lose.
If the opposition lose these by-elections, particularly in Mbeere North, what would it mean for them?
It will mean that Rigathi Gachagua, whatever Rigathi Gachagua is saying, is just not the reality. And that is why he has sensed defeat early enough and he decided to avoid the embarrassment. Okay, that is what he did, and I know my brother here will try to sugarcoat it, but let us say what it is. If today Rigathi Gachagua was sure that his candidate was going to win, I can tell you the Rigathi Gachagua I know would have not withdrawn from that seat. But now he has sensed defeat even before the general election, even before the campaign started. He knows that there is no way I was going to win this seat against a UDA candidate and a Jubilee candidate. The Jubilee is also a member of their party, so he decided to pull out. Okay, for Ukambani, the same thing applies to Ukambani. There is no any way that election is it in Makueni, if I'm not wrong, in Makueni County, I think. That Rigathi Gachagua is going to win there. Okay? For Kabuchai, now look at it, in Western Kenya. That is where the deputy party leader comes from. Okay? The two elections that they've withdrawn. That is where the deputy party leader, the Somaoki and vocal Cleophas Malala comes from. Okay? However,
it does not come from Kabuchai.
But he comes from the western region. Right. Okay? He is from Kakamega, I know. But he's positioned himself to control the entire western region. It will better if he could now try to prove his strength against as the deputy party leader of the so-called mighty DCP party and the most popular party among the other united opposition parties, and try to prove himself in that by-election in his area. Why is he going for a by-election in, let's say, somewhere in Kasipul, Kabonda and Ugunja, where they know they are going to lose? Okay, why is he going for somewhere like in this constituency? Post, where he's going, you know very well he's going to lose. These guys, they know very well that whatever Rigathi Gachagua is saying, Rigathi Gachagua, I think you have your time, please. This is my time.
Taking 7 minutes, I take 1 minute.
No, Rigathi Gachagua, you like to complain just like your party leader. This guy like to complain just like his party leader. My friend, relax. Now, this is what I'm saying. Out of the 23 by-election, if DCP tries, maybe they might get 4. Now that they've pulled from around 4, okay, they can manage 4 if they so tried, okay. But what will this tell him is that whatever he thinks, in fact, even where his so-called chairman come from, let me tell you one thing. In the DCP, in the DCP, now let me tell you how weak this party is. This party is just a social media party. Now let me tell you, Rigathi Gachagua, who is the party leader, come from a central region. Okay, the member of parliament, the only by-election of an MP is in central. That is Mbeere North. He has pulled out of that. His deputy party leader come from western region. Okay, they've pulled out of that, meaning they feared the disappointment. The chairman of that party, the national chairman of the party, come from Kajiado. There is a by-election in Kajiado. They are going to lose it. The Purko ward. They are going to lose it. Okay? There is no any way that guy is going to win against the UDA, the OPM candidate. They are going to lose it. Now that will tell you that this party Whatever they're saying, this is just a social media party that is built out of anger, okay, and hatred, but does not have anything convincing to the real common mwananchi. And this will send a very strong message to the party when approaching the 2027 general election. That whatever they say, they better go back to the drawing board and come up with something more convincing.
All right, Mito, one of the headlines that was on the Daily Nation this week, if I can just read it, was on Gachagua, on whether he is a 2027 kingmaker or he's going for the crown. Now, listening to the former Attorney General, Justin Muturi, he says Gachagua has got a chance of vying for presidency come 2027 because essentially he needs to have exhausted all judicial platforms, and that will determine the outcome on his impeachment, whether he can vie for an elective position come 2027 or not. And so essentially from that legal point of view, he's got a chance and he's got no any hindrance for him going for any elective seat. Will that be a key factor in terms of how or who will become the flag bearer of the united opposition? And would he decide to be a kingmaker or be a king himself come 2027?
Rigathi Gachagua is an outright candidate, qualified candidate for presidential seat. But before I explain that, I think I need to clarify. I need to clear some few things, and that's why I'm using my timer here. I need to see how many minutes. And I think next time we'll be very cautious. We'll use the timer. It's 2 minutes after complaining. Now, what I'm trying to say is, first of all, Jubilee has not officially joined the opposition because Jubilee belongs to Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta, in another discussion, maybe I can dig into it. Yeah. I can tell you Uhuru Kenyatta is William Ruto.
But
please hold it. It's my time.
No, you are misleading us already.
Brother, please. This is our position. Yeah. This is our position.
But Matiang'i is part of the opposition.
Allow him to voice his opinion.
Okay, yes.
Please.
Okay. Continue.
The problem with the broad-based, they don't listen. And that's why you don't even hear when we are telling you, do this to improve on this one, on this area. Now, this is what we're trying to say. Jubilee is still out there, trying to figure out whether there is going to be. And the strategy that maybe Uhuru Kenyatta could be applying with his Jubilee party is to find a bargaining power, which they intend to do it even by splitting Kiambu, of which Kiambu ground, the Kiambu people have rejected, save for the 6,000 people who went to State House. That's the only support they have. And there's some few members of parliament. But they have declared categorically that we want to have some vote from Kiambu, go to the government. This is actually going deeper to the Mount Kenya politics, which he does not understand. Back to Mbere. Before I tell you about Rigathi Gachagua's qualification, Mbere, Justin Muturi, head of a Democratic Party, they have a candidate. Ruku was elected because the Mount Kenya Brigade fronted him. And which is the Mount Kenya Brigade? Led by Rigathi Gachagua during campaigns. Don't forget that. So if the Mount Kenya Brigade that fronted you now does not have confidence in you yourself, it means there is still a support for the person who will be fronted by the Democratic Party. So Rigathi Gachagua fighting with Justin Muturi does not really augur well for the opposition. Okay. So the wiser person, the wiser person chooses to pull over. Not that there was any tussle. No, he steps aside because he is doing it for the good of the united opposition. Come to now his candidature as the president. I explained it here broadly. Article 144 of our Constitution is the one that ends at the Senate on the impeachment of the president. But Article 145 at the last clause declares that the impeachment of a deputy president, I have the Constitution here, will not make reference now, you can read for yourselves. The Article 144 invites borrowing the impeachment process, impeachment laws that will be used on the president to be applied on the deputy president. That clause is there at the end. Now, after after impeachment at the Senate, which happens on Article 144 of incapacitation is on Article 145. Whether it's health, whether it's mental state, because all these accusations were there, that the person was sort of like a madman, not mental stable, all these kind of things. You qualify him again to have this case, which is supposed to end Article 145 in the courts, in the High Court. And the High Court is now the judiciary. You have done your part, but we have invited, through the 11 cases, there are cases that were also painting Gachagua as somebody who was mentally unstable. And that, in the law, is mental incapacitation. Now, Rigathi Gachagua had the right now, and in any case now, leave alone now the impeachment process. In our legal system, Article 150, Clause 5, talks about the rights of the accused person, that the person has the right to move on to the courts, if there was unfair judgment, either it is in a tribunal, which is the level of the Senate. The Senate is just in the level of a tribunal. It's not even a subordinate court. It's just a tribunal. You understand? So the Senate made the decision. I am supposed to move on to the High Court. If there was unfair judgment. The unfair judgment is what I explained the broad base has done, because the support of the ODM MPs to be marshaled towards impeaching Rigathi Gachagua simply because there was some cake. They did that, but that was bribery, and that is corruption. And so it is clear the way they have presented their case that it was not presented, the impeachment was not done lawfully and legally and considering the rights of the accused either.
Do you expect it to overturn at the courts?
Listen, the lower court may make a decision. The Court of Appeal will. We are still at High Court. We've not gone to the Court of Appeal. When you take a matter to the judiciary, to the court, whether you started from the magistrate's court, the furthest place you can go to is where the interpretation of a law that is offending a person is interpreted. Now, impeachment has no precedence in the Kenyan political world because there has not been a deputy president that has been impeached before. So you cannot have a point of reference. Right. You can only create one, and this shall be done perfectly by the Supreme Court. Okay. Now, if the Supreme Court is not compromised, because they're also humans, they get compromised too. If they cannot be compromised and they choose to serve justice to the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, having seen the first court has made a decision, knowing too well that there was no formality, you had the government press was working overtime at midnight, gazettements done at midnight, public holidays declared without proper tiling of gazettement and everything, and that public holidays declared and a swearing in is done, all these kind of things, which were done haphazardly. What I'm trying to say is that all these things work against the current government that is not listening to even the law, let alone the people. Now, what qualifies I know I'm getting technical. I'm getting technical in this one. I'm getting technical. Article 143. Article 143. Allow me. Article 143 says you cannot institute a criminal case. That is clause 1. Clause 2, you cannot institute a civil case against a president or anyone who does the duties of the president. Okay. Because their tenure, plural, T-H-E-I-R, their tenure is protected by the law. You understand? So even these matters that were brought, some of them were civil, others were criminalizing. They were not supposed to be brought up. So this is the confusion that is always in the law. That's Article 143. Article 147 that brought in the new deputy president was also flawed. So what we're trying to say is the court is now confused. After the accusations by the executive and the parliament is exposed everything to Kenyans. Now we know there was corruption in parliament, so it was unlawful. They must overturn the case. The verdict that was done by the three-man bench, who were also not qualified to watch over that case. Okay. Now, Rigathi Gachagua, as a Kenyan, has every right protected in Article 50. He has every right to claim that there was injustice in his impeachment. He does not want the seat back because he lost too well. He will not be allowed to survive the 3 years, you know. Before we had this impeachment process, we had the declarations by the likes of Kimani Ichung'wah that what is about to happen in 3 months' time, the flag will run half-mast. And this is the leader of opposition, this is the leader of government side in parliament saying that half-mast means a demise. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that's how lethal, how fatal this discussion has always been. So let's do this. Let's conclude. I'm concluding. And I'm actually giving a statement with an exclamation. You digested that? Rigathi Gachagua qualifies unless the court decides to serve him unjustly, then he will not qualify. Okay. But as far as we have come, he qualifies to vie for presidency of the Republic of Kenya.
All right, Wasonga, yes. As you respond to that, this united opposition includes persons like Martha Karua, who has been termed as a reformist, and her, I'd say, credentials are credible. You've also got Kalonzo Musyoka, who is a former vice president, has been a running mate twice. Three times. Do you see a time when he will want to withdraw yet again, or Martha Karua withdraw yet again and decide to support Rigathi Gachagua for 2027?
What Rigathi Gachagua, first, let me tell my brother here that if Rigathi Gachagua become the flag bearer for this your united opposition, then you will have handed Ruto the second term in office. Okay, he's better off playing a kingmaker than taking the crown.
That's your opinion.
Don't respond, because I know you want to respond. Now, coming to the question, Cynthia, is that it should be, I think up to now, Kalonzo Musyoka should not allow himself to be subjected to such kind of thing. Remember, he has declared, if in 2027 Kalonzo will again decided to step down from whoever they pick, then I think many Kenyans will not have any other confidence in him, because we now see him like one of the most unserious candidates we have in this country. Remember, he has stepped down for Raila record 3 times. Okay? Martha Karua...
Actually 2 times, right?
3 times.
2013 and 2017.
And 2020, yes, but even in 2022 he stepped down because he wants to be the presidential candidate. And he said, Raila Tasha Maraya Tatu. Okay? So, at least 3 times he stepped down. Okay? 3 times in 2022. So even if he does it again in 2027, then majority of people will now start to question how serious is he, his seriousness and his credibility.
Do you see him saying Gachagua Tosha?
No, I don't see him saying so, because now if you look at that individual within the united opposition, is more qualified than others to become their presidential candidate.
All right.
Okay, because he's been in politics, politically, have got a track record. Okay, so to me, I think Kalonzo Musyoka fit to be the presidential candidate. But as Kalonzo we know, the Kalonzo we know might not just decided to disappoint everybody. Okay, in Martha Karua, I don't see Martha Karua having any problem stepping down for anybody, because now this is the only lady or a leader that, despite the fact that he was a running mate to Raila Amolo Odinga in 2027, his party now Kenya don't even have a member of parliament, not even a single MP. I don't know how many MCs he has.
PLP now.
Yeah,
People's Liberation
Party. But now the PLP, there's not even a single member of parliament. So I don't see Martha Karua as any serious presidential candidate, and he won't have any problem stepping down for whoever will be chosen as the flag bearer. For Kalonzo, I will really love that Kalonzo is more qualified than if Rigathi Gachagua to be the presidential candidate for the united opposition. But if they decided to give Gachagua, then they will now just decided to hand Ruto a second term.
How do you envision his path to these 2027 campaigns? Because, you know, he's got this impeachment looming over his head, he's got this tribal title looming over his head. How do you envision that path?
Rigathi Gachagua?
Yes.
Listening to Rigathi Gachagua, how he talks, I just see him as someone who is just filled with hunger, okay? He's still fighting, you know, it's just like what Rigathi Gachagua is doing is that now we fought for this government, I don't even enjoy whatever we fought for, I'm out of this now, it's my time to pay back. It's like now he's going on a revenge mission. So going to this, among all these things hanging on his back, that's why I said he will rather play, if it's truly a statement, as my brother Muredi puts it, then I will really prefer now he play as kingmaker, because going with this tag that I was already hung on in the impeachment, the tribal tag and everything, does not look good on him. Whether it's true or not, okay, whether it's political or not, but now it doesn't look good on him. So that's why I would say he'll rather play a kingmaker rather than going for the crown.
All right, gentlemen, we have to wrap this conversation.
Please don't out of time. You've given me all my time.
What do you mean?
Really, you take more time than I do. In fact, I've decided to take less time.
We're out of time. But next time, you see, you have allowed him to bash this side and leave it at that point. What I'm trying to say is, regarding, the Mount Kenya people, they are labeled as tribalists when they speak about their very
No, not Kenya people. No, I think, I know, but let us, when we talk about but there is something that Muredi have to address. I want just to say this so that you address them. When we talk about Mount Kenya, we are not talking about the entire Mount Kenya.
That's what we're complaining. Allow me to speak. I'm trying to say,
but learn to speak for an individual.
You didn't teach me how to speak. I've spoken since 54 years ago. Now, what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say here is that calling Rigathi Gachagua tribal to us is inconsequential. Because the ones who are calling us tribal are the ones who are practicing tribalism. The other day, Raila Odinga was at pains the Luo event. Wait, my brother, it's not your time. He was he can play the clips, it's in YouTube. He was at pains to explain how it is a national event, a national issue. Yet, it is a promotion for the Luo culture. What I'm trying to say is, this is what he called speaking, this is what he called hypocrisy. And hypocrisy is worse than witchcraft, according to the scriptures. What I'm trying to say is, people of Ukambani are fronting Kalonzo Musyoka as their Mukamba. People of Luo have fronted Raila Odinga for the longest time.
Yes.
People of Luya have fronted the other person for the longest time. Now, Kalonzo Musyoka has been deceived 3 times. Don't mistake that. Deceived 3 times. Sisimami, then all of a sudden he says, I have thought and I've decided I'm going to fight. Then Kalonzo had to step back. Let's not.
So you say that is deception?
Allow me, this is my time. So what you're trying to say is, Kalonzo Musyoka is as good as Rigathi Gachagua vying. Kalonzo Musyoka is as good as Natembeya vying. Kalonzo Musyoka is as good as Martha Karua vying. All these people qualify to vie. But please, don't rush them. They will not tell you who the candidate, their main candidate is until next year, 2027. It's time for the broad-based government to practice patience. Wait and see.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. I'm not happy.
All right, gentlemen, I'd love to give you an opportunity to just wrap it up and just answer this question on what are the chances that the opposition is going to beat the current regime of Kenya Kwanza government? And I know that one of the playbooks they'll be reading from is of President William Ruto in 2022, the United Democratic Alliance. And they will try to refer, they will try to cross-check. In their meetings, they'll try to see what it is that they can do, what Ruto did to beat the system back then. And so, what are the chances that this united opposition, Wasonga, I'll begin with you, is going to beat the government come 2027? In a minute.
A very slim chance. Very slim. In fact, this united opposition, if we are going for a free and fair election now, they might come a third in the general.
A distant third.
Distant third. What most people are forgetting is that we have another group of patriotic Kenyans that are also going to offer solution to Kenya.
All right.
That are basing their campaign not on hunger and revenge and name calling and all those, but are basing their campaign based on ideas and ideologies that we believe will be beneficial for the people of Kenya. So it will not be only President William Ruto versus the united opposition. No, there is a group of patriotic Kenyans.
Okay.
And that is where I belong.
All right, thank you. Muito, in a minute.
In a minute.
Don't take more than a minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In a minute, the united opposition currently boasts of a 10 million support base. While the broad base, I'll give you the statistics. While the broad base is boasting of having the government machinery on its side, not the vote. Because one, the 7.1 million shillings minus 0.1 votes minus 4 million votes, just to give a figure, 4 million votes, because more than that, it means they have 3 million and not so guaranteed that they have the whole 3 million with them. But that one has withdrawn. Then the supporter, the backup, comes with 6.9 million minus 1 million in Mount Kenya that they gave him. They donated generously to the 6.9. That means he is 1 million short, guaranteed. So this remains 3 million plus that comes to around 8 million, and we are still going to have a cake out of it. Come to the 10 million. We are talking about people who understand the needs of the youth, the needs of the future, how to protect the future, and that is found in the manifesto or the design of the politics the United Front is presenting to the people. Yeah. Is about them. And so the Gen Z have discovered there is a need for them to blend with some elderly people, because you cannot walk blindly being led by a young man being led by a young man on issues that they too are grappling with. So we have to find some people who will give us some background, and some people will give us a foresight, and we blend with our energies. And so I'm talking about the 10 million votes. We know that the Gen Zs who have not voted since 2022 and they have obtained their ID cards to 2027, I tell you, it's going to be a landslide. A landslide. A landslide for the United Front, opposition front. All right, interesting. Is they stay united? Interesting, interesting school of thoughts from the two gentlemen in studio this morning. Thank you very much. I can see let me read out one comment that has come in. The people have lost trust in the government, and the echoes of past anti-government demonstrations serve as a stark reminder that disillusionment while the united opposition may be eyeing the 2027 elections, their current role is crucial. They are holding the government accountable and ensuring that the voices of the local men are not just heard but acted upon. It's time for real development and change, and the opposition's vigilance is a vital step in that direction. Good morning. Thank you very much. On my immediate right, Muito Mureithi, a political strategist and a friend of the mountain. Asante for your time this morning. And Matthew Asonga is a political commentator. Which friend are you? A friend of which side? A friend of Kenya. A friend of Kenya. A friend of Kenyans. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That is where we wrap it up this morning. This is the Leadership Challenge show every Friday, 9 a.m. We keep leaders to account and ensure that they are doing the right thing, not just for themselves, but also for you as the Kenyan people. Have yourself a good morning. My name is Cynthia Nanjala.